What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wallet Watch. I'm your host, Brian McCauley. You guys know that Wallet Watch is a platform we put together to talk about all things mortgage, all things money, all things real estate. Speaking of real estate, we got a special guest for you today. He's one of the fastest and up-and-coming realtors in Dallas, Texas, and I'm honored to have him on the podcast. Show, my man Chase Duran. Welcome, brother.
Appreciate it.
Hey, listen, dude, I'm really excited about this. A lot of stuff I want to dig through, but just in case people have been living under a rock and they don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, married, single, kids, business, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so it all started back in Arlington, Texas.
Nice.
Went to Arlington, Lamar. Grew up in Arlington. My family's still there. Then went to Texas Tech University and was pursuing.
Guns up.
Yeah, wreck 'em. Was pursuing medicine. My whole life I wanted to be a physician. And so went to Texas Tech because they had one of the best health sciences programs.
Right.
Went to Tech to play baseball. That was kind of the whole trajectory. And then was going to be a walk-on. They kind of wanted me to go to Midland or Weatherford to play a year and develop a little bit more because I was a little guy. And I didn't feel right doing that. I knew baseball. I was never going to go pro, and I wanted to start making money. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go start my career. So called it quits there. Went to Tech, joined a fraternity. You know, that opened up so many windows and networking opportunities. And so pursuing medicine. And then 2019 came. I graduated in 2019 in my undergrad Bachelor of Science, and that was August, September 2019. Started prepping for the MCAT the rest of the year. Then COVID just slammed us.
Wow.
When COVID was 2020, I think.
Yeah.
So I was with Carson, who's my wife.
Yeah.
We were
Shout out to
together
Carson.
then since sophomore year. So we're starting to reevaluate this whole physician and my love for it. And to be honest, I just kind of fell out of love. All of high school, I was at the hospital doing a special program, and I just kind of fell out of love with it, and politically and everything going on with that world. So I said, you know what? I don't think I want to be a physician anymore. And Carson and her mother, Carson's mom, Camille, who works for me now, she was a realtor with Keller Williams in Lubbock, Amarillo. And she goes, I swear you need to get your real estate license. Like, she was like, I'll pay for it. I'll do whatever. Get it. I'm like, you're crazy. I've got $100,000 worth of student loan debt right now. And you want me to go become a realtor? And so I thought they were kind of crazy for that. And then I did the test while COVID was kind of going on, and passed it. And then I said, during 2020, I guess we can back up a little bit. During 2020, I got my master's in business. Okay. I stayed there because there was nothing else to do.
Sure.
So Carson and I lived with her parents in Lubbock while I did my master's program at the Rawls. And it was pretty much all online.
I love it.
I thought that would help me get a better job, to be honest with you. Something in medical sales is what I was looking for. And then some of it was geared toward real estate.
Okay.
And so I was like, this real estate thing's always just been in the back of my mind. And I had my license. I bought my first property and had it leased out immediately in Tech Terrace, 26th in Boston. Had it for 3 years. Let my fraternity brothers rent it out from me. And then I had some Kappas in there, and so I started to see the passive income and how this really works. I think I bought it when I was 20 years old, and got that done. And then I started really doing the end of 2020.
Okay.
We moved here in November.
Okay.
And I signed kind of with Debbie Halliday and Frisco. We lived at the Star in an apartment there, and just honestly living off of Carson's income. She was the only one really bringing in income. I just graduated college and didn't have a job. We moved down here with
$1 and a dream.
Yeah. I mean, we had a savings, and, so shout out to her. She provided for us for like the first 6 months while I was getting my kind of career going with Debbie Halliday. And then 2021, right around the corner, January, it was sink or swim. I was doing 3 to 4 open houses a week and just absolutely grinding 16-hour days. And it started just snowballing to where we are today, to be honest with you. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. It's kind of wild, but
Dude, that's an incredible story. I mean, obviously you went from, you transitioned so quick from like the medical field and sales, and then COVID throws a wrench in it. And that's a weird time to get in the industry, period. You don't know any different. And then obviously you just take your skill set, right, that you're going to apply to something over here, went this way, got it all going and figured out, obviously, in the LBK, you got a place and now people are paying the mortgage for you. You're making money. And so the light bulb starts to go. And then you guys slide here and you get going. And 21 was, I mean, sink or swim. I've seen a lot of things over my career, but that stretch was one of the hardest. And for you to be brand new to it and obviously brand new back to the city and knocking it out is impressive. And that's obviously, one of the things I want to talk about. I'm super impressed with your work ethic, especially at your age. That lacks in a lot of folks, but especially like when folks are young during a hard time. And so when you say you start working open houses and you just connecting the dots with people, I mean, you really boomed your business quickly. Talk about that. Was most of it organic from open houses? Was it just like your social connection? How did you move through it and boom so quickly? Because it's rare.
I think it was so much was thrown at me so quickly that like I said, I had to sink or swim. And having that many people, it was open houses. I really do believe, a lot of my business is built around open houses, but also just relationships and just being good to people. And, like I said, just good communication, figuring out what other agents aren't doing well and capitalizing on that. But to be honest, all open houses. I mean, back in 21, we had 50 to 100 people coming through an open house. If I can't convert one out of 100 people walking in, then I shouldn't be in real estate, to be honest. And it turned out that I was converting 5 to 10 out of just one open house. And, whether they bought then or waited or I got them in a lease. So open houses is a big thing, and leases. Okay. At our office, I turned into that. I mean, I joined when I was like 23, 24.
Right. Leases are great.
I was that lease boy. Yeah. All these top dog agents were like, you got a lease client, just throw it to Chase. Well, after that 1 year lease was over, they were calling me to buy. And so that was another thing that I really capitalized on was leases, and leasers are always going to be buyers one day. So just following up with them and staying with them. So open houses, leases, and just being readily available at any time. Back in 21 and 22, if a home hit the market at 7 a.m., you better be there at 7:15 with the client, or you're FaceTiming them from out of state. So like I said, just being readily available. And I think that's what I really capitalized on.
Yeah, I think that's good for everybody watching. I mean, he's been in the business for a few years and he's one of the, top producing people in the city. One of my favorite partners so far, but it just back to basics. I mean, open houses are so simple and old school, but they're so effective. And I want people to understand, like, dude, you can work those. You can connect with people. It's one of the best ways to generate leads. And I just think people, they can't be too good to just put in the work to connect and shake hands and to make things happen. I think that's crucial. So at what point for you, like, okay, you're thrown into it, 21's bananas, you got 10, 20, 30 people coming through an open house, you're converting, connecting. When did it become a little bit more strategic? Meaning, like, at the time, the market was booming and giving everybody a ton, but obviously it slowed down. And one of the things that, the market is corrected, and now it's obviously on the way back up, which we're going to talk about towards the end. But everybody had a lot of business at that time, but the correction happened. And what happened is it corrected a lot of people and they went by the wayside. You continuously stayed the course and stayed on the path. And so when did you start to learn outside of, hey, tons of open houses? How did you keep the momentum? What did you start to do after that to stay organic, but stay like going forward?
I think it back to 21.
Yeah.
Back to the basics. You need to be, I was running around with my head cut off, but also still doing the basics. Because I think a lot of agents in 21 and 22 left the basics because business was so quote unquote easy.
Sure.
You got a listing and you had it sold in 24 hours. So you didn't really do the basics. You didn't send out postcards. You didn't send out follow-ups. You started to really not do anything else because it was so easy. I guess you could say, I know that's kind of a bad word to put it, but
sure.
I still did everything that you need to do when the market corrected. You need to be reaching out to other agents, connecting, networking, postcards, mailers, market updates to, just farming and, utilizing your sphere. And I think that is what really helped me with the market correction. Because my book of business has stayed the same since when I got in 21. But I do know a lot of people who got in and got out within 3 or 4 months because it just wasn't sustainable and they weren't doing the basics. They thought they could get their license and, sell a couple houses and real quick and make quick money. And we're now learning that you can't do that.
Yeah. And I think, every good industry goes on its run, whether it's real estate or mortgages or stock market, whatever. You're in it for a long period of time. You're going to get that 2 or 3 year where it's just booming, right? It's nuts. But when it all settles down, back to your point, like, hey, there's a checklist on things you need to do and you need to do it all the time and be effective at it. And so that way you'll stay consistent, be able to get through the tough times, make a name for yourself, continue to be successful, which what you have done. One of the things about your business I've noticed, which is really, really cool, you're an excellent networker. You have a lot of really good connections. And I think that's something people that have to understand, like, hey, your sphere is important, who you hang out with, who you know and connect with. Open houses is one thing. You and I have worked together on some higher end clients. Walk me through, outside of the open houses, being available here and there, how did you start getting plugged into this higher level, higher end athlete group of folks so quickly?
Well, the higher end, I would say, really, I've been, it took time for the higher end. I mean, it took the full 2-3 years that I've been in real estate to really earn that. And I think that's another topic that we can talk about here in a minute. Please. Is age and the luxury market and just in general. But as far as like my professional athlete clientele, that it all goes back to one guy, Simi Fahoko. Him and his wife found me on social media and they reached out, and then I helped them buy a couple properties, and then he referred me to as many cowboys in the locker room. And then he got traded to Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh traded him to the Chargers. And then he introduced me to Jalen, who we're closing on tomorrow, Jalen Guyton.
Shout out Jalen.
Yeah, shout out to Jalen, great dude. But taking care of them, keeping them tight, not, there's a lot of agents out there that I think fanboy, fangirl over the NFL clientele. You've got to act like you've been there and done that, and, treat them as another client, be, friends with them. That kind of snowballed into more athletes and more athletes and more athletes. And another thing with athletes is they are just another client. They just have a bigger pocketbook.
Sure.
And they're young. They're very, very young, like me. So we're very relatable in finances. And I think they trust me with how I handle my finances. So it helps them trust me with their finances as well. Because a lot of guys come in, they sign, $3 or $4 million rookie deal. They're making great money. They can afford, I say it over and over again, they can afford the $2-3 million home, but it is just not worth it when you're 22, 23, right out of college to go buy a $2-3 million home when you signed a $4 million deal. Mm-hmm. So I talk to the financial advisors, I talk to their agents, and we're all on the same game plan of how I want to grow their portfolio. So start little, and work it up. And that's how I kind of take care of them. And it works and it's effective, and they're family.
Yeah, I know, it's great. I mean, I just feel like, you made that connection. So everybody's just paying attention to this. We'll talk about social media. We'll lean into that because you said it was, hey, one person found you online, liked you, liked your style, reached out to connected. And that obviously has turned into 10, 15, 20 plus relationships, one athlete to another. You take excellent care of them. You relate to them. So on the social media piece, let's transition to that because obviously I want everybody to, you got to make sure and just stay consistent out there, and you never know. Chase is a result of many things, but obviously social media exposure. And so, how much do you use social for yourself? How much for business? How much do you get from it? How important do you think it is in our industry? Let's spin around on that for a minute.
So I believe in social media 1,000%. But I think I have a different spin on social media. What I use social media for may not be what another agent does, or you, or whoever.
Right.
I use social media as a credibility tool, not so much a lead generation tool.
Okay.
Now, does it generate some? Yes, that's just natural and organic. But when you go to a listing appointment, the first thing they're going to do after you walk out, in my opinion, before they even interview you, is, or even they're buying, they're going to research you and see what kind of person you are on social media, what kind of houses you're, surrounding yourself in, what you sold, what you haven't sold, stuff like that, and who you're representing. They're going to look you up. So I think having a very professional platform or presence
Sure.
is very, very important. You know, I see some agents, and I talked about it on my podcast, you know, they're out at the bars, and, you know, your first impression is everything. And one story or one wrong clip can ruin, you know, your potential listing or that buyer that wanted to reach out to you or hire you. So I use it as a credibility tool to not really get me the appointment, but when they look me up, to solidify, yep, we're hiring him.
Yeah.
That's what I use it for. I do post here and there on it. I used to, when I first started, I did do a lot of like reels and TikToks and stuff of, you know, home tours, but I really did learn to stop that really quick. I started focusing on quality tours and reels and delegating. You know, I didn't have any money then, so I was doing it on my iPhone and stuff. But as I grew and got, you know, did more sales, I started hiring professionals to do it for me. And I think that really helped. And I think quality over quantity. And I don't know what your take is on that. You can give me your advice. But when I go on Instagram and I see someone with 200,000 followers and they've got great reels, but the sales aren't backing up, the volume isn't backing up the tours, is what I'm saying. Now, that might be completely taken the wrong way, but it's the truth.
Sure.
And I didn't want to be known as that TikTok guy or that Instagram Reels guy.
Correct.
Some people will, you know, argue with me on that, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinion.
But it's working for you, man. But it's your brand. It works well.
What works for me isn't going to work for somebody else. If they generate all their business on social media through TikToks and Instagram Reels, then keep doing it. Do what works for you.
Right.
It just didn't really work for me and didn't sit well with me. But I don't know. What's your take on it?
You know, I agree. I mean, I think obviously, you know, everybody's got their take on social. I mean, first off, you got to be on there. If you're not and you're absent, dude, you're missing out on a ton. I think your approach on how you want to do it to maximize the business is based on the person, based on their personality. I also think it's based on their target audience. Yep. What I like about yours, it's professional and sharp. It's the same way that I feel about mine. I mean, buying a house, selling a house, whatever is the biggest investment of anyone's life. And they want to make sure the person on the other side of the transaction that's helping them is professional. And obviously that's a reflection of who you are when your stuff is online. I am similar in nature to where I think that your online presence in your videos is a SportsCenter highlight reel of who you are.
Exactly.
Meaning like, hey, this guy is the best quarterback in town. I promise you, trust me. Or if I show a 60-second reel of Mahomes throwing a bunch of touchdown passes, class act character, hanging out with his family, getting it all done, it edifies and echoes what people already think in the digital world, where people want to just double check to make sure this person is authentic and real and professional as they say. I agree. The first thing that they're going to do is go and check that out. And so I like your approach on that, especially too when there is, I agree that people mix too much business and pleasure all in one, and why people don't want to be judgmental. Some people, especially with you get clientele like yours, it could be a turn off. And so you don't have to be fake, but I think you have to be protective and mindful is what I tell people. There's a difference in being fake. There's a difference being too tight. You can be somewhere in the middle, but at the same time, like, you know, what if your doctor was online doing this stuff and, you know, things here and there. And so I just think professionals get that, but also like if someone's going to take the approach, the smarter approach is always to be a little bit more professional and protective of it. Especially when you're trying to use that as a springboard to get you some business. And then obviously people are looking you up to figure it out. I mean, just think about if you were a human, you had 3 people to choose from and you check 1, 2, and 3. And obviously this one was flat. This one was party. This one was professional. It speaks volumes. And I think especially for you, as you continue to move up the ladder and widen your net on people and business and athletes and high-end people here and there, those people, they want to be taken seriously. They want to be with somebody that gets it, right? And they're going to double check your stuff online and who you are first and make sure you get it before they hand over the opportunity for you to help them. And I think social is great. I think it's constantly evolving and changing, but I think the cool thing for you is like social media can generate leads. I do the same thing. It's not a lead generator for me. It does, but it's more of the authoritative of, hey, I want to double check and see who the mayor of the city is when it comes to home loans. And so when I put that out there, people watch it and you can see the professional piece, you can see nuggets, you can see tips, you can feel me in the videos. And I try to articulate it in a way that's not nerdy and flat, that is in layman's terms that people will connect with. But I always want people, when they take away something on my videos, to feel like they're smarter, they're better, and they got something out of it by watching. So mine is always kind of like teaching people the game, of how it all works, but also saying like, dude, I am on your side and I want to make this happen for you. And so the feeling of professionalism, but also like, I want to know what I'm doing. And I think you do a good job of that online. You do an excellent job in person, obviously taking care of clients. I mean, you're really, really buttoned up and sharp in that area. And so I agree with the social media piece. Okay to be diverse, smarter to be protective, especially obviously when you got people like you.
Yeah. And I think another thing on top of that is just market knowledge. I mean, education and being knowledgeable will separate yourself from thousands,
Right.
maybe 90% of realtors out there, to be honest with you. I know it's a crazy statistic, but when I do an open house, I promise you I know everything about that neighborhood. I know everything about the comps. I know price per square foot. It's not my listing. It may not be my listing, but I promise you I know everything about it. And that's one thing preparation, so that when I do get hit with those questions at the open house, or someone hits me, with a hard question in Highland Park Village out of nowhere, I'm ready to go. And I think that's always be prepared with multiple neighborhoods, whether you want, or whatever you want to focus on, whether it's Lakewood, Park Cities, Preston Hollow. To be honest, no mall, no South Lake and West Lake too, because you'll have Fort Worth clients and North Fort Worth. So I like to know a lot about each market. I do focus on some, but I think just being knowledgeable and, that'll make you look really good.
I think every industry knowledge is power. It's attractive, right? People want to work with people they like and trust, but you can like and trust somebody when they're professional, but they know what they're talking about and you feel good. The takeaway is there and they know that they will do better with you versus without you. And I think that's a key thing for you on the knowledge piece. With knowledge and learning market comes something I want to spend some time on with you is work ethic. So your work ethic is really good. Does that come from when you were an athlete, when you were in medical school? Like, where does that come from? Because it's hard to come by in general, but it's also hard to come by for a younger generation. And so I'm curious as to where that came from.
I really think it's genetics, to be honest. I think, and just seeing and just growing, but I come from a Hispanic background of having a little bit of that already in me. My grandparents, they own a restaurant and they come from the restaurant industry. And I don't know what it is, but I think something from the restaurant industry and got to me with the customer service side of things.
Got it.
Don't know why or how, but I used to spend a lot of times in El Paso during the summers, bussing tables, waiting tables, since they owned a restaurant in El Paso, still do. And so I just got to learn a lot, and I've always wanted to, obviously make money, but I love talking to people. There's nothing I like doing more than talking to people and just getting to know people. I don't care who they are, what they do, how much money they make. It's just fun. And so I, starting early before I could even drive, I was bussing waiting tables out there every summer while playing baseball. And then, when I got to tech, I mowed a lot of yards in Arlington for friends and family and stuff like that. So they'd pay me to mow their yard. When I got a truck, I had a lawnmower and a weed eater and a blower. That's all I needed. And that's what I did a lot of the summers. And that led to Lubbock. Probably my junior year, I started a company there too. It's just me, my truck, and what I had, my tools. And I generated a very big book of business very quickly, too much that I could handle. So I had to kind of delegate some of that work. So I learned how to delegate really early while I was in school and in the summers mowing all these yards. And then I eventually got to the point where I graduated and I just kind of sold it off to another big landscaper in the city, just sold kind of the portfolio. Nothing crazy, but that got me my first taste. But I've always just kind of been a hustler, and I sold cinnamon toothpicks and gum and everything back in junior high, elementary. I was always selling something at school. And I don't know why I thought I should have been a physician. When I had that kind of sales background, and my parents always told me I needed to probably be in sales. Right. So it worked itself out, to be honest with you. And I'm glad I did. Have not looked back once. I love real estate. I love sales. I love connecting people too, connecting clients with other clients, just like you do. You connect me with these people that I connect with these people. It's just crazy how this world and networking and connections can, and how small of a world it really is.
Yeah. Well, work ethic is a blue collar staple in this industry, man. It's very attractive. It's going to serve people well, no matter what. You cannot beat hard work day in and day out. Yes, at some point you want to work smart, not just hard, but working hard is, it'll produce a lot of fruit. And whether you're mowing lawns or doing loans or selling houses or doing medical sales or whatever, that work ethic is really impressive. It's important. And I think that's gotten you where you've gotten to today. I think that's a big key component of it. And so I'm very impressed with that. One, just because it's hard to do, but again, two, in a younger age. And I think when people went through the COVID stuff here and there, I mean, to your point, so much business came so easy that you didn't have to worry about working for it. It was just how do you manage it? And now it's flipped. And obviously you showed your true colors and you belong here. You're setting the stage. I'm super impressed. My 19 years in the game, honestly, I don't meet too many people, especially that are young with the work ethic. And so, for you, you're probably honestly top 5 dudes I've ever met. Your age, a little higher, lower, or whatever with the work ethic. Super impressive. Keep it up. Thankful to obviously have met you. Thankful to be working with you. One of the things you added to your portfolio is if you had time, but I haven't been on there, but I hope to. It's just super impressive. Talk to me about your podcast. Name of it, when you started it, where did that come from? What's the purpose behind that?
Yeah, so I just kind of started a podcast. It's called Chase the Deal. It kind of fits the name.
Nice.
I've been thinking about doing this podcast for about a year now. Me and Ken Callahan, works for Republic Title. We have a very close relationship. We talk probably 5 times a week. He's like family to me. And that just happened through business and, that relationship and how they take care of me and how I take care of them. And so we always talk about real estate topics. We talk about everything. And then we're like, we should really start a podcast. And this was about a year ago. And then I started to see kind of, the clientele I work with and the network. And I'm like, well, we've got the guests. We've got everything ready to rock and roll. So let's do it. And then, you get busy and, you don't take it serious.
Sure.
And I finally, one day I just had it. I was like, we're going to do it. And I think, waiting and procrastinating, thinking you're going to, find a better studio or find better quality this or that was kind of in my head. I'm a perfectionist and I'm trying to learn to kind of take it down a little bit because I wanted the best setup. I wanted the best equipment. I wanted the best producers. So,
right.
That's just me telling myself lies. I should have just picked up a microphone and started talking. And I think that's what keeps a lot of people setting them back is just do it. It's not going to be perfect. Our first episode, we had Damone Clark on. He plays for the Cowboys. We learned a lot from it. You just got to do it. And then you go back and watch it and you're like, dang, I did that wrong. Then episode 2, it gets better each time.
Sure.
But that's with anything in life.
Right.
Nobody likes really being in front of a camera. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it. And so I think, if you're out there and are wanting to be on camera, just set up your phone in front of you and talk, whether it's real estate or you're selling cars or whatever you're selling, loans, you do a great job at it. I don't know too many lenders that do what you do on the social media side of things. So I really respect that. And that's why we work well together. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I think your podcast is dope, dude. I think it's going to be an extra platform for you. You got a great personality. It's just another way to show a different side of yourself. I think people enjoy listening to you and talking to you, but also you get more personal on the podcast. But I think for you, it can be whatever you want. It can be clients. I think it can be a recruiting tool. I think it's a place to go after people to interview big ticket clients, big ticket potential business partners to have them on. But I think it's going to continue to spread your brand.
That's another reason what I didn't say is I wanted to be able to show me like on a podcast on a different setting, not so uptight and formal with business. I wanted people to, be able to see me comfortable talking to other people as well. And, the clients, that we work with, and maybe that can grow business as well. But it's fun. I really enjoy doing it and talking to people and getting to know their lives and their backgrounds and their stories. So what better way to do it than a podcast? Yeah.
Smart, dude. Okay, cool. So let me kind of transition into a couple things with you. So talk to me about your feeling right now. What's your feeling and your projection, Dallas specific, DFW proper, for 24 and 25? Where do you think things are headed? What's the messaging to the sellers out there, to potential buyers? What's your feeling? Because we're all starting to see the energy. We're starting to see it heat up quick. And I know you're everywhere all the time, which I love. But what does the next 18 months look like in your eyes?
I think if you're a first-time home buyer, you need to be buying within the next month or two. We're seeing multiple offers on homes that are priced right in the right locations. There are multiple offers. I had a client, we're interested in this property, a little under $2 million in Lakewood. Went under contract in 4 days, 3 days, multiple offers. And that's in the luxury market. So you can only imagine what's going on in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range. But I think we are going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And then Fed just announced their holding rates. What was that, 3 days ago?
They're holding temporarily.
Temporarily?
They'll let it loose May or June, and then it'll continue to slide downhill, but it's not quite ripe enough and ready.
So you think May or June?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they're gonna try to hold inflation for a few more months. It's not quite as cool and steady as they want. I think they need that for a few more months. One, I think it's the right thing to do.
I think everybody was planning March, April, right? To
begin
with?
I just think it's not quite there. I think it's 80% there. And I think what they want to see is 2 or 3 more months of just like even Steven cooling off. Things are okay, because we all know what's going to happen when it flips. The biggest way to boom the economy and make money go is to lower interest rates in America, and everybody takes off quick. And if they do it too quick, it's going to push things back up, and inflation is going to flame back up again, and it's going to cause the monster that they're trying to bring down. I also think it's not as bad because, to your point, it allows for a window for people out there right now to get a house where they have an opportunity. And I think that's an important piece of a 6.99 rate is a great rate. The 5.99 rate you want is also good, but things don't stay stable. All those houses go away. All those houses go up in price. You're fighting against 10 people here and there. So I actually don't mind that piece in the sense of it's going to give some folks out there that once it really starts,
right,
they're out of the game.
What's your projection on how much of a rate cut? Are we looking at a 1/4 point or half a point?
I think it's just going to be layered. I think they're doing a 1/4 point, anywhere from 3 to 6 cuts from June this year to maybe through the election in June the following year. The projection of the bottom is somewhere at the end of summer 2025. Some people say 5.5, some people say 4.5. So I split it. I'm like 4.99. That's probably the trend of where people are going to go, but there are variables. What's going to happen with the economy? What's up with the election? So I think they're going to be structured with it. It's got to go that direction. I think they're just hanging tight because once they do it, they're not going to undo it. And I just don't think they want to undo it that quick. And again, because things aren't on a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 4. And I think in 3 weeks, it jumped to a 7 or 8. It went from Christmas chill to first, second week of January, when it was go. And then it's double go. And now it's oh my God. Almost every other house is in a multiple offer already. And I think to your point, it's people got to understand the old saying I say, which is marry the house and date the rate, because you won't be able to even get the house. You can refinance and get it all done. I think that's crucial that you're seeing that. But we saw this in COVID. It's not going to be that extreme. It'll be 50% of that. But people need to be aware of that, especially people that, don't have money and need help.
Well, I think the longer people wait, they're renting. And the longer they wait thinking rates are going to drop, they don't have as much cash to play with. So then they're going to end up having to sign another year lease. So that's going to put them in 25, right? Well, rates, if you think they're going to be 4.99 and 25, it's going to be even worse than right now. So then they're going to re-sign their lease for another 2 years. And then they're going to look back and be like, man, at the beginning of 24, we could have been in a house and had 2 to 3 years worth of equity now in this property. But instead we're still renting.
Sure.
And now but how long do you think? So I think what's going to happen is spring and summer is going to be hot. We're going to go back to the multiple offer situation, even if we get in low 6s, high 5s, whatever it is, just because educated people know that when rates go down, they don't want to compete. So they're just going to go ahead and buy the property. But do you think closer to the election, maybe a month or 2 before election, do you think they're going to hold, or do you think a certain party is going to drop them significantly in hopes of a re-election?
I don't think they're going to intentionally drop them that hard prior to. I think it could potentially be part of a strategy to win over some folks to make it all happen. But the truth of the matter is, if they drop them that hard that fast, it's only going to cause a surge and a spike, and it's going to cause more problem, I think, that is then solution. I think the tiered down effect is the right move. It's protected. It gives everyone time. Do I think they'll pull the plug that hard? No. Will they give an additional rate cut and maybe do 75 bips versus 25 at one point in time? Maybe, right? Maybe. But we all got to see where things are at. The other component of that is, you and I know, dude, we're in Dallas. The state of Texas arguably is the best state, if not one of the top 2 or 3. Regardless of how people feel, political division, economic division, quality of life, people are coming here. And so rates in the 6s are still doable and they're fair. Historically, it's great. Like COVID rates, 2.99, 3.99, they weren't real. Well, we just got out of it, 7.99, 8, not real. The real center component of stability is in the 5s, maybe the 6s. Yeah. But that market's not going to stabilize, to your point, for 2.5 or 3 years. And so people are going to stay in the rental race. They're paying a mortgage. They're just not paying their own. But to your point, they're missing out on the up equity swing, which I tell people like houses are going to appreciate at 8-9% a year. And so it's like you buy that house, 24 months from now, your house is worth 15% more, refi the rate after the fact, eat a couple payments, extra $200 a month for 12 months. It's $2,400.
Well, rental rates, interest rates go down, rental rates go up.
Correct. But it's also demand goes up. And what people have to pay attention to outside of the rate and the timing piece, real estate is buy and wait. It's not wait to buy. It always has been. But also population demand, incoming people, way more humans than houses. And so there's just natural economic demand there. So I agree. If you are a buyer that needs help or doesn't want to get caught in the rat race, you probably have about June. If you're past that, you can still get it. It's just going to be a juggling act and much more difficult to get. And I'd rather get the house now and watch the economic upswing and refi, where you may wait a year till the rates are good, but at the same time you pay at the tip top and you could have made that money versus saved it.
How long do you think it's going to take for us to neutralize our inventory issue?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question.
5 years, 10
Yes.
years?
I mean, I think it's multiple years. I think you're looking 3 to 5 years because they're behind me. New construction, they can build quickly and they can catch up okay. Just the problem is that, again, it's a population issue. Because you have such a surge of people and businesses coming here, no one can keep up. And then you drop the interest rates down and it pulls even more people off the sidelines. So the next 18 months is just a wild run just to get a house. Then if it stabilizes, because rates actually stabilize, maybe they can catch up. But there's a huge shortage.
Yeah.
But even if they get going here, to your point, like until the people and businesses stop coming here, we in Dallas and DFW are going to fight that for a long period of time. When are people going to stop coming here? Probably never.
Well, my next question to that was, are you seeing more clientele going back into the office and having to relocate back?
It's a good question. I think a lot of companies have gone back to a hybrid model. I like the hybrid model, meaning like being at the office a couple of days a week to train, to build culture, to hang out and connect with your teammates is good. But also, honestly, people that are responsible and can work from home, dude, it's a benefit. Let them work from home. It saves them an hour or two in the drive. They don't have to get ready. Quality of life is a little bit better so they can take care of their kids or their pets or run errands and get it all done.
Right.
What I find is the people that have issues with coming into the office are normally the people outside of the schedule piece, or the people that like don't want to come in the office and fully commit because they're probably not fully committing from the house and it feels uncomfortable because it kind of like shows them that they're not fully committing. But we've got multiple people on our team and I know it's like, dude, they'll work from the house, their sweats at 7 a.m. in the morning, the same they would for a suit. I think the difference is the culture and the training, meaning like people need to train and connect. There's nothing like having a buddy sitting next to you, shooting it, having coffee, getting it, hanging out, listening to scripts, talking on the phone and clients. Also just having lunch and nachos, you build a rapport and the culture piece. Outside of that, good teams, people have expectations, metrics, they meet it. I think, hey, if I can save somebody, they can work from home 3 days a week, saves them 2 hours each day, driving back and forth, stopping at 6 hours. Like, dude, that's almost a full business day that I get back. So it's like they're working 6 days a week in 5 days because they're not fighting traffic. Shout out to all the women that are freaking an hour and a half just to get ready for work. I'm like, save yourself that time, save yourself the drive time, save yourself the kid time. Yeah, and their quality of life is better because they control the narrative. And when that lifts people's spirits, they like where they work. They have more purpose. They appreciate the employer. So I think all of that is fine. It just comes down to setting an expectation of like, we just got a job to do and numbers to hit, and we got to do it together. And most people don't really care. I like 1 or 2 days a week, culture, nachos, training, just to keep the connection. Yeah. But I think it's shown people can work from home, from Zoom or whatever. The ones that want to work there all the time, I don't think it has to do with the comfort of the house. I think it has to do with maybe not hitting all cylinders all the time, and it's easier to be seen and not doing all that stuff. But that works itself out over time. Couple last things I want to button up for you, dude. So at what point? What's your plan for you? Like if you continue to grow at your pace, you are one person with a great team around them to get it all done, but you're going to outkick the coverage. So what's the next 12, 24, 36 months for you look like?
That's my whole business plan for this year is figuring out, who I'm going to surround myself with. And for the past year, that was one thing that I've struggled with. And I'll admit it is, delegating work. I'm horrible at delegating. I don't know if it's a trust thing. I just feel like I want it done a certain way. Mm-hmm. And if I want it done that way, I've got to do it. And so I'm really pulling back from that, and I'm letting more people, take on, certain items and tasks that I need. My goal is to definitely grow more of a team.
Okay.
I'm an individual guy. I'm not on a team. I don't have a team under me. But I would like to start having, more of a full-time assistant, and I already got a great transaction coordinator right now, but I think I'm going to start growing the team and growing the referral partners in other states. That's one thing I really focused on in 2022 was my Miami, Aspen, LA, New York markets. I really want, I've already got my people there, but just growing those relationships even more. And we've got a lot of people coming in from other states. Now, when they come here and they want to buy here, they also have friends and family in those states as well. Whether they need help there or here, I can help them, and my referral partner can help them. So I do quite a bit, just for, I guess, me in 3 years that I've been doing this, referral based business into other states. Right. So I want to start really maybe taking some time to go visit those cities and getting to learn a lot more about them, so that when that client does call, connect them with my referral partner, we're good to go. But I also have enough knowledge and market, knowledge that I can have a conversation with them about Aspen. Right. I can talk to them about Miami. I'm not just like, oh, I don't know anything about those cities. But at the same time, really focus and dial in on Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas as a whole. We're growing so big here. I would be stupid to not just really lock in here and just grow it. And then maybe, grow a team underneath me. Haven't really made that decision yet, but I think it would be a good idea. Yeah,
man, I think you're going nowhere but up, and you can only do so much for everybody. I mean, teamwork makes the dream work, and it takes time to get a dream team. I've been there. I'm still doing it. I'm working through it. I think it'll make you better at what you do, but obviously, your demand and your scale is something that you can't hold all by yourself forever, especially if you're looking to go outside to big cities and get stuff done. But I'm super impressed. I got your back. I'm always here to watch your stuff and back you and get, everything done, whatever we need. So, dude, this has been incredible. I'm just thankful that you're on the show. I'm thankful that I've met you. I'm impressed with all your stuff. It's going to be a fun year together. Before we head out, a couple quick things. One, if people want to connect with you, social shout out, where should they follow and connect with you?
Instagram's just my first and last name, Chase Duran. We've got TikTok, Chase Duran, and then we've got the podcast, Chase the Deal, on YouTube and Instagram, where we'll be doing more on there as well. But that's about it. Just keep it clean and easy.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm impressed. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. You guys follow him. Dude, he's a young lion on the block. I'm super impressed. We're fixing to tear up 24 and 25. So I appreciate it, dude. To everybody out there, thank you guys for the support. Make sure and like, follow, subscribe. This man, myself, we'll see you in the future.